Welcome back to my channel. I'm Angie and this is Our Contented Home. I am so excited about today's video because I am doing DIY patriotic decor. I'm going to take just scrap fabric around my house. I'm using some items from the Dollar Tree and I'm turning them into decor for my house. And this will be fun because it's super simple and you can put it up for Memorial Day and leave it up all through Labor Day. So let's get started. Recently I found this long strand of beads at a yard sale, and the first thing I thought was Christmas because of the red and green. But then I thought, well, I could go ahead and make a garland with red beads for Christmas, but I could use it for the patriotic holidays. So that's what I did. I took my garland and I cut it apart, and then I just sorted it by color. And here you can see that I have the red and the green, but I also sorted the natural. And then I just took about a 24-inch piece of twine and about 15 beads. I did put 3 natural beads at the end of this, but I didn't get a video of that. And then I just loaded them on the piece of twine until I was happy with how they looked. And then I just made a tassel for each end. And if you're interested in a tutorial on how I make my tassels, just leave me a comment and I'll be sure to get that video up for you. My next project, I'm using American flags from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to take these apart. They're held on by a staple, and I just take that apart. I'm using the flag as my pattern and the stick to go in my flag. You can use sticks from the yard too. I have red and white fabric. I have a blue and white shirt, some vintage lace that I love to keep on hand and use for projects like this. You can also use drop cloth if you have it on hand, or any kind of denim. I'm also using my sewing machine, but you can use a glue gun and glue sticks. I first take my red and white fabric and I put right sides together. I don't know if it really matters. That's just what I do. And then I just line it up, and then I pin down my American flags. And I do 3 at one time. I do fold it on the fold so that it'll come out double-sided. And then I just pin them down, and this just makes it easier to cut out all these at one time. And then I fold them together and make sure I've got the stripes lined up as good as I can. And then I just do this, fold them up, and then they're ready to go and be ironed. And this makes it easier for me because everything's pressed and it just looks neater and it's a little bit easier to keep up with. So I just go ahead and iron all the pieces. I put it in my sewing machine, and I do leave about 1 inch on the side for my stick to go in, but then I do sew up every other side. I didn't get a video of this, but I just cut a small piece from my blue and white shirt to serve as my stars on my flag. And then I just sewed around all 4 sides. I did sew a zigzag just to give it a little bit more personality. And then I did use some vintage lace to sew around the bottom and the side. And you don't have to do this. You can leave it just as it is and it will be perfect. But I wanted to give it a little bit more dimension. On this one, for my stars, I did use the piece from the flag from the Dollar Tree. And you can just get creative on this. You can use fabric from your stash. You can use clothes that don't fit anymore that have a fun pattern. You can go to the thrift store and find fun clothes for just a few pennies and use them. These are so much fun to make, and I want to make more. I just want to see what I can find to make really cute vintage American flags. And then I just cut off the excess of this vintage lace. I didn't measure or anything, I just sewed it on. And then I did use a stick from the yard on this one, and I love this look. I think that the stick is really cute and it adds to that vintage look that I was going for. This last project is my favorite, and I have been wanting to make one of these for a long time. So I'm just going to take the blue and white fabric, and mine is about 8 by 10, and this is going to serve as my stars. And then I'm using a stick from the yard, and I'm just measuring how much space I need to fit my stick in there. And what I'll do is just add, it's like a pocket on a curtain. You just sew the seam at the top, and then a few inches down according to how big your stick is, and then I just sew around all the sides. Next, I'm going to take my red and white fabric, and this is going to be the stripes, and I'm cutting them 2 inches apart, but I did go back and do only 1 inch because I like that look better, but you can play around with it and see what you like better. And then I just rip my fabric because, again, I want it to have that vintage handmade look. I don't want it to be perfect, and so I just rip it. This is for the bottom, and then on the other side you will need longer strips of fabric, so just double it. I think these are about 12 inches, and then my fabric on the other side is about 24 inches. So just double whatever you're doing. Just keep ripping until you have your desired amount, and that just depends on how big you want your flag. And so you can use any kind of red and white fabric. I used lace, I used this red and white stripe. Just the more you use, the more personality it gives it, and the more dimension. And I don't think you can have too much. Just keep adding it and it'll look so good. And then I just take these smaller strips of fabric and sew them onto the bottom of that blue and white fabric that we just sewed up. You can glue this on or tie it on, put little holes in the bottom and just tie it on if you don't use a sewing machine. I just sewed mine onto the bottom. Since my sewing machine was out, I just went ahead and did it. I'm not a master seamstress, but I can sew a straight line. And so I know if I can do this, y'all can do this. And sometimes I just overlap my ribbon. You can just test it out and see what you like. But I would like to make more of these and just see what I can come up with. And it's just a really fun project. So now that my fabric is sewed on to the bottom of my star section, I'm going to put on the longer strips. And this, I just loop them through the stick. So you would just take your ribbon or your fabric or whatever you're using and just loop it around the stick and tie it. And I'm using the red and white fabric, I'm using ribbon, I'm using lace, just whatever I had in my stash that was red and white. And I had lace curtains that I bought at the thrift store that I cut up and used on this, and it was just so much fun finding things and just using your imagination on what you could use. And then you just tie them on, and when you get to the end, you're all done. It's a pretty easy project, and it's so cute, and you can use it year after year for the holidays. I hope you enjoyed that video. Please leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know which one was your favorite. If you're new to my channel, I would love if you would consider hitting that subscribe button, and you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at Our Contented Home. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.